Welcome to Inside the Philippines. I'm your host, and today we've got a story that's going to make a lot of you rethink some decisions you might be considering out here. This one hits different because it starts so innocently. No bars, no dating apps, no red flags waving from day one. Just a 57-year-old Irish electrician named Niall, who thought hiring some help around the house would make his retirement easier. What happened next changed everything. By the time he figured out what was really going on, he'd learned one of the hardest lessons the Philippines has to teach. This is his story, in his own words. Right? So, name's Niall. 57 now, though I feel about 70 most days. Spent 35 years as a sparky back in Dublin. Electrician, if you're not familiar with the term. Council flats mostly. Rewiring social housing in places like Ballyfermot and Tallaght. Occasional commercial job when work was flush, but mostly I was the bloke you'd ring when your breaker kept tripping or you needed new outlets put in without the landlord finding out. Good with my hands, reliable, always had the crake with clients. Could have made more money going into management or commercial work full-time, but I liked the freedom of it. My own hours, my own jobs, no one breathing down my neck. Never married. Came close twice. First time in my 30s, girl named Siobhan, but she wanted kids and a house in the suburbs. And I was working 6 days a week trying to get established. Second time in my 40s, Karen this time, lasted 3 years before she got tired of waiting for me to propose. Work always seemed to get in the way, you know. There was always another job, another client, another reason to put off the big decisions. Then suddenly I'm 56, living alone in a terraced house in Clondalkin, and realizing I'd spent my whole life wiring other people's homes while mine stayed empty. Then came the heart attack. Job site in Tallaght, rewiring a flat for a woman whose husband had done a right bodge job years before. I'm up on a ladder running cable through the ceiling cavity, bit of a reach, and suddenly my chest feels like someone's clamped it in a vise. Can't breathe. Arms go numb. I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, this is it. This is how I go. Next thing I know, I'm on the concrete floor, fluorescent lights above me, 2 young lads I'd hired for the day absolutely panicking. One's on the phone to emergency services, the others asking me questions I can't answer because I can't get air in. Ambulance ride. Hospital. Doctors. The whole bit. They sorted me out. Stents in the arteries. Kept me 3 days for observation. But it was the consultant's words that stuck with me. Nice Indian fella. Very direct. He said, "Mr. Murphy, you need to slow down or the next one will kill you. You're 56. Change your life now or you won't see 60. Lying in that hospital bed, I kept thinking about what I'd be going back to. Empty flat. No wife. No kids. A few mates I'd see down the pub maybe once a week. Work I could barely manage anymore. The truth was, if I'd died on that job site floor, it would have been a few days before anyone really missed me. That's a hard thing to realize about your own life. Recovery took months. Couldn't work, doctor's orders. So I sat in my flat in Clondalkin, watching telly, trying to sort out what came next. Started watching YouTube videos, as you do when you've got nothing but time. The algorithm kept pushing retirement content at me. Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines. Places where your pension stretches further, where the weather is warm, where life's supposedly easier and cheaper. I'd never considered living abroad before, never been further than a Spanish beach holiday, but the Philippines kept coming up. Cheaper than Thailand, everyone speaks English, and honestly, it looked less seedy than some of the Thailand videos I was seeing. Those were all ladyboys and go-go bars. The Philippines seemed more, I don't know, family-oriented. Catholic country, more conservative. That appealed to me. I started doing proper research. SRRV visa, the retirement visa. You need to be over 50 and deposit money with the Philippine government, then you can stay permanently. Cost me about 10 grand USD for the deposit, but it was refundable if I ever left. Condos in Manila were going for 15 to 25,000 pesos a month, which worked out to maybe $300 to $400. Food was cheap. Healthcare was affordable. The more I looked into it, the more it made sense. So I made the decision. Sold my house in Clondalkin for €165,000. After clearing the mortgage and a few debts, I had about $170,000 when I converted everything. Not a fortune, but enough to retire on if I was careful, especially with my state pension eventually kicking in. My mates thought I'd lost the plot. "You're moving where?" "The Philippines. Are you mental? You'll be robbed blind, Niall." But what was I staying for, honestly? More cold rain? Another winter alone watching telly? Waiting for the second heart attack in an empty flat? I applied for the SRRV, got it sorted, researched condos in Manila. First time I'd been on a plane in 20 years for anything other than Malaga. Flying into Manila at night, you could see the city spreading out below. Millions of lights. Ninoy Aquino International Airport was chaos. The heat hit me like a wall when I walked out of the terminal, even at midnight. Humidity like nothing I'd ever felt in Ireland. Taxi driver tried to charge me 3,000 pesos for a ride that should have been 500, but I'd done my homework and haggled him down. Checked into a one-bedroom condo in Makati I'd arranged online. 25,000 pesos a month, about $450. 16th floor, decent view, furnished. The building had security, a pool, a small gym. It felt promising. First few months were an adjustment. The jeepneys, these mad decorated buses that stop anywhere and charge by distance. The tricycles, which are basically motorcycles with sidecars. SM malls everywhere. Massive shopping centers with air conditioning you could freeze meat in. Finding where the expats ate and drank. I started doing small electrical jobs, cash in hand for other foreigners. Word of mouth, nothing major, just keeping my hand in, making a bit of extra money. Fixed some dodgy wiring in another Irish lad's condo, rewired an Australian couple's kitchen that had been done by some local cowboy who'd nearly burned their place down. The weather was grand. Warm, bit rainy during monsoon season, but I'd take that over Irish drizzle any day. Cost of living was everything they'd promised. I could eat out for 100 pesos, 3 or 4 San Miguel beers for the same. My pension and savings meant I was comfortable. I felt like I'd made the right call. But here's the thing about being a bachelor all your life. You don't actually know how to run a household properly. Back in Dublin, I'd lived like a typical single bloke. Laundry piled up until I ran out of clean clothes. Dishes in the sink until I needed a plate. Lived off tinned beans and takeaway curry. But I had my routines, my systems, and it worked well enough. 6 months into Manila, I realized the condo was becoming a disaster. Clothes everywhere. Dishes piled up. I was living off tinned food from 7-Eleven and Jollibee delivery. Couldn't be arsed to do laundry or cleaning properly. One day my neighbor, British bloke named Graham, comes over for a beer and looks around my place. He just laughed. "Mate," he says, "you need a maid. Everyone has one here. 3,000 pesos a week, couple days a week, they'll sort this whole mess. Cheap as chips." I'd never had help like that before. Felt a bit odd having someone clean up after me, but Graham gave me the number for a referral service, said it was all above board, professional. So I rang them up, and that's how I met Maricel. That's how it all started, really. With a phone call about hiring a maid. The referral service sent her round 2 days later. I was expecting maybe someone older, proper housekeeping type. But Maricel was 28, petite, pretty in a quiet way. Long dark hair pulled back, simple jeans and a white blouse, canvas trainers that had seen better days. She had this shy smile, kept her eyes down mostly when we talked. Very polite, very proper. We did the interview in my disaster of a condo. I was embarrassed, honestly, having her see the state of the place. Clothes draped over every chair, dishes stacked in the sink, the smell of old takeaway containers. But if she was judging me, she didn't show it. Just stood there with her hands clasped, answering my questions in careful English. She explained she'd cleaned for several expats around Makati, had references, actually pulled out her phone to show me messages from previous clients. British couple, American businessman, Australian retiree, all said she was reliable, trustworthy, did good work. She charged 3,000 pesos a week for 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 in the morning until the work was done. Usually 4 or 5 hours, she said, depending on the size of the place and how much needed doing. 3,000 pesos worked out to about $54. Seemed reasonable. I told her she was hired, could she start Monday. She smiled properly then, first real smile I'd seen, and said, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." The sir thing made me uncomfortable, but Graham had warned me that's just how it is here. Respect culture, he called it. That first Monday she showed up at 9 sharp. I'd tried to tidy up a bit over the weekend, felt bad about the state of things, but there's only so much you can do when you've let it go that long. She just got stuck in. Started with the kitchen, washing dishes, scrubbing counters, organizing the cupboards I'd been shoving things into randomly, moved to the bathroom, proper deep clean, the kind I'd never bothered with. Then the bedroom, changing sheets, doing laundry in the building's machines downstairs. I stayed out of her way mostly, sat on the balcony with a coffee and my phone, but we'd chat when she took breaks. She'd ask questions about Ireland. What's it like there? Is it always cold? Do people really drink that much? I'd tell her about Dublin, the pubs, the rain, the craigie. She'd laugh at my stories about dodgy electrical jobs, landlords who'd try to save money by doing their own wiring and nearly killing themselves. Her English was decent, but you could tell she was translating in her head, pausing sometimes to find the right word. I asked where she'd learned it, and she said school, then working for expats. You pick it up fast here, she said, because everyone wants to practice. Around lunchtime I offered her food. Felt rude not to. She was shy about it, said no thank you, sir, but I insisted. Ordered Jollibee delivery, chicken joy, and rice. We ate on the balcony. That's when I learned a bit about her. She was from Bulacan province, north of Manila. Family still there. She came to the city for work. Lived in a shared apartment in Mandaluyong with 3 other girls, all of them doing similar work, cleaning, childcare, that sort of thing. I asked about her family and her face changed, got a bit sadder. Parents in the province, she said. Younger siblings. Times are tough, but they manage. Then she changed the subject quickly, asked more about Ireland. I got the sense she didn't want to talk about it, so I let it drop. She finished around 2 that afternoon. Place looked completely different. Actually clean. Organized. Like a proper home instead of a bachelor disaster. I paid her the 1,000 pesos for the day, about $18, and she thanked me 3 times. Thank you, sir. Thank you, God bless you, sir. Then she was gone. Wednesday she came back, same routine. Friday too. Within 3 weeks, the pattern was set. She'd arrive at 9. I'd make myself scarce or sit on the balcony working on my laptop. We'd chat during breaks. Sometimes she'd cook, simple Filipino food. Adobo, this chicken dish in soy sauce and vinegar. Sinigang, sour soup with pork and vegetables. Fried rice with leftover meat. Nothing fancy, but proper home cooking. Better than anything I could make. The thing that struck me about Maricel was how she never asked for anything. Every story I'd heard about Filipino women, especially from Graham and the other expats, involved money requests straight away. Medical emergencies, family problems, sick relatives. But Maricel just did her work, took her wages, said, "Thank you, sir," and left. Professional. Respectful. Never overstepped. Around the 2-month mark, I started giving her small tips. She'd done extra work one day, cleaned the oven properly, which must have been disgusting, so I gave her an extra 500 pesos, about $9. She looked shocked, tried to refuse, but I insisted. Another time I gave her 2,000 pesos, maybe $36, just because she'd been working hard and I appreciated it. Again with the shocked reaction, the multiple thank yous, the genuine gratitude. I raised her weekly rate to 4,000 pesos without her asking. Figured she deserved it. $72 a week for 3 days of making my life easier seemed more than fair. When I told her, she actually teared up a bit, said no one had ever been so kind to her before. That made me feel good, like I was doing something decent in the world. It was around month 3 when things started to feel different. She'd stay a bit later after finishing work. We'd have coffee together, just talking. She'd tell me about growing up in the province, about Manila being so big and overwhelming when she first arrived, about missing her family but needing the work here. I'd tell her about Dublin, about my years as a sparky, about the heart attack and the decision to leave everything behind. The conversations felt easy, natural. She laughed at my jokes, the self-deprecating Irish humor that doesn't always translate. She asked about the heart attack, seemed genuinely concerned, wanted to know if I was taking care of myself. "Are you eating properly, sir?" "You shouldn't drink too much beer, sir. You need rest." It felt nice, having someone care, even if it was just politeness. Then came the day that changed things. Month 4, maybe early month 5. She showed up for work Monday morning, and I could tell something was wrong immediately. She was trying to hide it, kept her head down more than usual, hair falling forward over her face. But when she turned to get cleaning supplies from the kitchen, I saw it. Split lip, bruise on her cheek, purple and fresh. I asked her what happened. She waved it off, said it was nothing. "Sir, please don't worry." But I pressed gently. Wasn't in my nature to let something like that go. Finally, she told me. Family gathering over the weekend in Bulacan. Her cousin's boyfriend got drunk, started a fight with someone. She tried to break it up and caught an elbow to the face. "These things happen," she said. "Family drama. It's normal." But seeing her hurt triggered something in me. Protective instinct, maybe. Or just basic decency. This was a good woman, working hard, never causing trouble, and some drunk Egypt had smacked her around at a family party. I told her to take the day off, rest, but she refused, said she needed the work, needed the money. So I let her work but made sure she took breaks, brought her ice for the bruise, ordered lunch for both of us. Over the next few weeks I found myself being more generous. Extra 500 pesos here, extra 1,000 there. Just because. She deserved it. She worked hard. She was kind. She made my life easier. The condo had never looked better. I was eating proper meals instead of 7-Eleven garbage. My laundry was done, folded, put away. For the first time since arriving in Manila, the place felt like a home. By month 6, I was looking forward to her visits more than I wanted to admit. Monday, Wednesday, Friday became the highlights of my week. Not just because of the cleaning, but because she was there. Someone to talk to. Someone who seemed to actually care how my day had gone, whether I was feeling all right, if my heart was giving me trouble. Looking back now, I should have seen what was happening. Should have recognized the pattern. Lonely, middle-aged man, young, attractive woman who's kind and attentive, power imbalance obvious from day one. But at the time, it just felt like friendship, like genuine connection. She never asked for anything, never pushed, never hinted, just smiled, did her work, and made me feel less alone. That was the trap, wasn't it? The asking would come later. But first, you had to believe it was real. It happened on a Friday night, month 9, maybe week 2 or 3. Nothing planned, nothing deliberate. That's what I told myself anyway. Maricel had finished work around 3, but she didn't leave straight away like usual. We'd been doing that more lately. her staying an extra hour or two after the cleaning was done. We'd watch TV together, Filipino soap operas mostly. She'd explain the plot, all the melodrama and betrayal and long-lost relatives, laughing at how ridiculous it all was. Or we'd watch action movies, the ones dubbed in Tagalog, where the dubbing never quite matched the actors' mouths. This particular Friday, I'd bought a six-pack of San Miguel. She had Coke, like always. We ordered Jollibee delivery, chicken joy, and palabok noodles. Ate on the balcony watching the sun go down over Makati, the sky turning orange and purple through the smog. Traffic noise from below, horns and jeepneys, and the constant hum of the city. We were talking about nothing important. I was telling her about a job I'd done that week, rewiring an American guy's condo who'd tried to install his own ceiling fan and nearly electrocuted himself. She was laughing, hand over her mouth, eyes bright. The way she laughed made me feel funny, like I was actually interesting, actually worth listening to. I was on my third beer. Not drunk, just relaxed, warm. The loneliness I'd been carrying since Dublin felt lighter somehow. And then there was this moment, you know the kind I mean. We're both laughing about something stupid on the TV, one of those Filipino game shows where people have to answer questions while getting drenched with water, and I just turned to her and she turned to me and suddenly we weren't laughing anymore. My heart was hammering. Worse than the heart attack, honestly. I leaned in and kissed her. Half expected her to pull away, to stand up, to remind me she was my employee and this was completely inappropriate. But she didn't. She kissed back. Soft at first, then less soft. And that was it. Line crossed. Can't uncross it. She stayed that night. And the next night. By the following week, she'd stopped going back to her apartment in Mandaluyong altogether. Just sort of moved in without us ever discussing it. Her few possessions showed up gradually. Clothes in my wardrobe, toiletries in the bathroom, her cheap smartphone charger next to mine by the bed. I knew this changed things financially. Couldn't exactly keep paying her as a maid when she was living with me as, what, my girlfriend? The word felt strange, even thinking it. Me, 57, her 28. But that's what we were now, wasn't it? I suggested she quit her other cleaning jobs. Told her I'd pay her 10,000 pesos a month as an allowance instead. That's $180, more than she'd been making running herself ragged cleaning for 5 different expats across Manila. She could just stay here, take care of the condo, take care of me, be here. She hesitated. Said that's too much, she can't accept that. But I insisted. Made perfect sense, didn't it? She wouldn't have to commute in mental traffic anymore, wouldn't have to deal with other clients. And honestly, I liked having her here. The condo felt less empty, I felt less empty. So she accepted. Quit the other jobs. Suddenly, we were living together properly. Boyfriend and girlfriend. The age gap bothered me more than it seemed to bother her. Nearly 30 years between us. When I was her age, she was an infant. But she never mentioned it, never seemed uncomfortable with it. And I tried not to think about it too hard. I bought her a new phone. Her old one was cracked, battery barely held the charge, took forever to load anything. 15,000 pesos for a decent Samsung, about $270. When I gave it to her, she cried. Actually cried. Said no one had ever given her anything like that before. She set it up immediately, transferred her SIM card, spent the evening just marveling at how fast it was, how clear the screen looked. Then clothes. She only had maybe 4 or 5 outfits total. Same rotation every week. Jeans, simple blouses, one dress for church. I took her to SM Makati, told her to pick out whatever she wanted. She was shy about it, kept saying things were too expensive, but I pushed her. 8,000 pesos worth of clothes, about $144. New jeans, blouses, a proper dress, some shoes that weren't falling apart. Watching her try things on, seeing her smile at herself in the mirror, that felt good. like I was doing something right for once. The physical side was, well, fine. Good even, in its way. Not passionate, not like relationships I'd had when I was younger, but comfortable, affectionate. She was grateful in bed the same way she was grateful for everything else, which sometimes bothered me if I thought about it too long. Like she was performing gratitude rather than desire. But then I'd push that thought away. She was 28 and beautiful. I was 57, overweight, heart condition, nothing special to look at. Of course she wasn't with me for lust, but companionship, security, kindness, that could be real. That could be enough. Around month 11, she mentioned her family for the first time since that brief conversation months ago. We were lying in bed, the aircon running, and she went quiet. I asked what was wrong. She said her parents were struggling, not asking for anything, just stating a fact. Her father's diabetes was getting worse, couldn't work anymore. Medicine was expensive. Her mother was doing laundry for neighbors, making barely anything. Her younger siblings were in school, but the fees were hard to cover. Times were tough in the province. Everyone was just managing, barely. I asked how much the medication cost. She said 8,000 pesos a month, about $144. I said I'd cover it. Send the money directly to her parents every month. She refused. Actually refused, said that's too much. I'd already done so much for her, she couldn't ask for more. But I wasn't asking. I was offering. What's $144 a month to me? I had $168,000 in the bank. My SRRV pension covered most of my living expenses. This was nothing. And these were good people struggling. Her family. So I set it up. 5,000 pesos a month to start with, about $90 for general family support. 8,000 for the medication, specifically. She cried again. Held on to me, said I was the kindest man she'd ever met. Said her family had never had help like this before. Said she'd pray for me every day. That felt profound, you know? Like I mattered. Like I was doing something genuinely good in the world. Back in Dublin, I'd been just another bachelor electrician. No one special. Here, I was changing lives, helping a struggling family survive. It felt meaningful in a way my life had never felt before. I ran the numbers in my head. 10,000 pesos monthly allowance for Maricel, 13,000 for her family, 23,000 total, about $414 a month, plus the phone and clothes I'd already bought. Maybe $4,000 total over the past 3 months since we'd gotten together. My savings were down to about 166,000, still plenty. This was sustainable. The sex was what it was. I tried not to overthink it. She was attentive, responsive, seemed to enjoy it well enough. But there was this performative quality to it that I couldn't quite shake. The way she'd say exactly what I wanted to hear, make the right sounds, position herself the right way. Like she'd learned what worked and was executing a script. But that wasn't fair, was it? Maybe that's just what intimacy looked like at our age difference. She was young enough to be my daughter, nearly. Of course, it wasn't driven by raw physical attraction, but comfort, companionship, security, financial stability, those were valid foundations for a relationship. People had built marriages on less, and she never asked for anything beyond what I offered. That's what kept convincing me this was real. Every other story I'd heard from expats, the girl was asking for money within days. Emergency hospital bills, sick parents, broken motorbikes, school fees. But Maricel never asked. I offered, she resisted, I insisted, she accepted gratefully. That felt different. That felt genuine. The condo had never been better. She kept it spotless, cooked proper meals, made sure I took my heart medication, reminded me not to drink too much beer. She worried about me, or seemed to, asked how I was feeling, whether my chest hurt, if I'd been to the doctor recently. That care felt real, or I needed it to feel real. I started introducing her to other expats as my girlfriend. Graham raised his eyebrows the first time but didn't say anything. The Australian couple I'd done electrical work for smiled and nodded. Everyone was polite. No one asked about the age difference. That's just how it was here, apparently. Middle-aged Western men with young Filipino girlfriends, so common it wasn't worth commenting on. I sent photos back to my mates in Dublin, her and me at the SM Mall, at a restaurant, on the balcony. Kept it casual, just showing them my life here. They replied with thumbs-up emojis, said she looked lovely, said I seemed happy. And I was happy. Or I was something close to happy. Less alone, anyway. Which, after 57 years of increasing loneliness, that was enough. Looking back now, I can see all the ways I was lying to myself. Reframing the power imbalance as partnership, telling myself gratitude was the same as affection, convincing myself that a relationship built on financial dependency could be authentic. But at the time, in those months, it felt real. It felt like I'd finally found what I'd been missing all those years in Dublin. The money didn't seem like much. $4,000 over 3 months? That was nothing compared to what I'd spent on failed relationships back home, on pints at the pub, on maintaining a house I barely lived in. And this money was helping people. Real people struggling to survive. That felt good. That felt right. I should have known better. 57 years old, I should have known that when someone's entire livelihood depends on you, when you're funding their existence, it's not a relationship. It's employment with benefits. But I didn't want to know better. I wanted it to be real. I needed it to be real. So I ignored the small voice in my head asking questions. Why wouldn't she talk about marriage when other girlfriends had pushed for it? Why did gratitude always feel more present than desire? Why did she sometimes seem to be playing a role rather than just being herself? I ignored all of it, because acknowledging it meant admitting I was alone again, and I couldn't go back to that, not after finally feeling like I mattered to someone. That was my first real mistake. Not the kiss, not letting her move in, not the money. The mistake was needing it to be real so badly that I stopped asking whether it actually was. Year into the relationship, Maricel said her family wanted to meet me. Her parents kept asking, she said, when could they meet the kind foreigner she'd been telling them about, the man who'd been so generous, who'd been helping them. It felt like a milestone. Meeting the family meant this was serious, legitimate, not just some expat keeping a girl in his condo. This was a proper relationship moving forward. That's what I told myself anyway. We took a bus to Bulacan on a Sunday morning. 2 hours through Manila traffic first. Horn-honking chaos, jeepneys cutting across lanes, motorbikes weaving through gaps that didn't exist. Then out into the countryside, green rice fields, water buffalo, small towns with roosters wandering the roads. Different world entirely from Makati. Her family's house hit me hard when we arrived. Nipa hut, traditional style. Bamboo walls, corrugated metal roof, dirt floors inside, chickens scratching around outside, well for water in the yard. No running water in the house itself. I'd seen poverty before in Dublin, council estates and rough areas, but this was different. This was basic survival. Her father, Juan, sat in a plastic chair under a tree. Mid-50s maybe, but looked older. Thin, sickly, clearly unwell from the diabetes. Her mother, Lourdes, was washing clothes by hand in a basin, wringing them out, hanging them on a line. 3 younger siblings. Maria, 19, worked as a sales clerk in SM Mall but lived at home. Ramon, 17, still in senior high school. Grace, 14, junior high. But it wasn't just them. Extended family kept appearing. Cousins, aunts, uncles, neighbors maybe. 20 people total by the time everyone showed up. All there to meet the foreigner, The Kano dating Maricel. They'd prepared a feast. Lechon, roast pig, which I knew wasn't cheap. Ponzi noodles, lumpia spring rolls, mountains of rice, halo dessert. This clearly cost them money they didn't have. Money they'd scraped together to impress me, to show respect, to demonstrate they weren't just poor provincial people with nothing to offer. Everyone treated me like visiting royalty. Sir Niall this, Sir Niall that. Endless questions about Ireland, about Dublin, about my work. They'd never met an Irish person before, probably never met anyone from Europe. I was exotic, interesting, wealthy by definition, just for being foreign. Father Juan talked about his diabetes. Couldn't work anymore, he said. Used to do construction, carpentry, but the disease had taken that from him. Medication was expensive. They could barely afford it. Had to choose sometimes between medicine and food. Mother Lourdes mentioned the kids' school fees. Uniforms, books, supplies. It added up. They were managing, she said, but just barely. It wasn't pushy. They weren't asking for anything directly, just stating facts. This is our life. This is what we struggle with. But the implication was clear enough. Here's this wealthy foreigner dating our daughter. He could help if he wanted to. And I wanted to. That's the thing. Sitting there eating their feast, watching them be so grateful I'd come, seeing the actual poverty they lived in, I felt like I could do something meaningful. What's a few $100s a month to me? To them, it was life-changing. After the meal, I pulled Maricel aside, asked her straight what would actually help. She was reluctant, said her family would never ask. They're proud people, but if I was offering. Her father's medication, 8,000 pesos monthly, about $144. School fees for Ramon and Grace, 25,000 pesos per semester each, about $900 total per year. Maybe some basic house repairs. I committed on the spot. Told her I'd cover the medication monthly, pay the school fees, whatever they needed. She started crying. The family cried when she told them. They thanked me like I was a saint, like I'd saved their lives. Father Juan called me anak, son. That word hit different. No one had ever called me son before. Never had kids of my own. Here I was, 57, being adopted into a Filipino family as their savior. Over the next 6 months, I got deeply involved. The poverty wasn't just financial, it was infrastructure. Their electrical system was dangerous, running off illegal taps from the main road. Exposed wires, no proper breakers, fire hazard waiting to happen, so I rewired the entire house myself. Spent 40,000 pesos on materials, about $720. Proper breaker box, safe wiring, outlets, lights. Took me 3 weekends, staying in the province, sleeping on their floor, working in the heat. They had no proper toilet. Outdoor latrine, just a hole. No shower. They bathed from buckets. So I built them a real bathroom. 65,000 pesos, about $1,170, for materials and a local plumber to help with the pipes and tank. Toilet, shower, proper drainage. When it was done, the Mother Lourdes cried again. Said they'd never had anything like this before. Said I was blessing from God. They called me Tate sometimes. Father. That made me uncomfortable but also proud. Back in Dublin, I'd been nobody. Here I was building bathrooms, fixing electricity, changing lives. It felt profound. The requests kept coming, but they were framed carefully. Never demands. Always emergencies or necessities. Maria needed a laptop for her business course at community college. 35,000 pesos, about $630. Seemed reasonable. Education is important. Ramon needed books and uniforms for school. 12,000 pesos, about $216. Grace needed dental work. Her teeth were in bad shape. 15,000 pesos, about $270. Each one in isolation seemed justified. These were good people, genuinely struggling, and I was helping. Being part of a family for the first time in my life, my savings dropped from $166,000 to about $146,000 over those 6 months, but I was building something meaningful. A family, a legacy, people who needed me, appreciated me, loved me. But cracks started appearing. I mentioned marriage to Maricel one night. Casual, just testing the waters. She went quiet, changed the subject, tried again a month later. Same reaction, third time, same deflection. I told myself she was traditional. Wanted her father's blessing first, or maybe wanted to wait until her siblings were more settled. Cultural thing I didn't understand. But it nagged at me. The family visits always needed advance notice. I couldn't just surprise them, drop by unannounced. She said it was respect, giving them time to prepare, to clean, to not be caught in embarrassing situations. Made sense. But one time I suggested surprising them with gifts, and she got genuinely panicked before recovering, laughing it off. That stuck with me. Her phone habits changed too. Always locked now. Angled away when she was texting. She'd take calls in the bathroom sometimes. When I mentioned it playfully, she said, Filipino families message constantly, group chats never stop, it's boring family drama. I believed her because I wanted to. Looking back now, I can see I was afraid. Afraid to question too hard. Afraid to push, because if I did, if I challenged any of it, demanded proof or explanations, the whole thing might collapse. And I couldn't handle that. I'd invested so much, not just money, though Christ that was adding up, but emotionally. I'd built my new life around this family, this relationship. I needed it to be real, so I ignored the small voice saying something was wrong, the voice asking why she wouldn't talk marriage after a year together, why I could never visit unannounced, why she was so secretive with her phone. I pushed it all down and focused on the good parts. The clean condo, the home-cooked meals, the companionship, the family who called me tatay and cried with gratitude when I helped them. That's how they get you, isn't it? Not with obvious scams or demands, but by making you need it to be real so badly that you stop asking whether it actually is. Year 2, the bleeding started in earnest. Ramon needed a motorbike for delivery work. Food Panda job lined up, he said, but needed his own vehicle to do it. 45,000 pesos. $810. I agreed immediately. Made sense, right? Investment in the family's income generation, help him earn money, take some pressure off me long term. But when I saw the bike, something felt off. Honda Click 160, top of the line, shiny, new, expensive looking. The basic delivery bikes were maybe 30,000 pesos. This was clearly more. I mentioned it casually to Ramon. He said he'd saved up extra from previous delivery work, added his own money to what I gave him to get the nicer model. Sure, grand. I wanted to believe it. Then Maria's nursing school. 80,000 pesos for first semester at a private college in Malolos. $1,440. That hurt, but nursing meant OFW opportunities. Working abroad, eventually helping support the family herself. Long-term investment. Take pressure off me. She'd be grateful. The family would be grateful. Maricel would be grateful. I paid it. Month later, Father Juan's emergency hospitalization, diabetic crisis, she said. Needed 3 days in hospital, medication, tests, monitoring. Bill came to 120,000 pesos. $2,160. I stared at that number. Philippine healthcare was expensive without insurance, I knew that. But Jesus, that seemed steep. Still, what was I supposed to do? Let the man die. I transferred the money via GCash, watched my savings account drop below 6 figures for the first time, down to $97,000. Then typhoon season hit. Bulacan roof got damaged, she said. Tiles blown off, water leaking in, needed urgent repairs before the next storm. 95,000 pesos. $1,710. Again seemed high, but contractors supposedly charge more after disasters, taking advantage. Supply and demand. I sent the money. Every request came with tears, with apologies. I hate asking. We'll pay you back. You've done so much already. I'm so sorry. Maricel's guilt seemed genuine every time. The family's gratitude remained effusive. But I was starting to feel trapped. Couldn't stop now without looking like a bastard who helped until it was inconvenient. The well had been poisoned. I was in. Did the math one night while Maricel slept, 18 months into being with the family. Started with $170,000, down to about $111,000, nearly $60,000 gone. Over 35% of my nest egg in less than 2 years. The panic set in then, lying in the dark, aircon humming, traffic noise from 16 floors below. But then morning came. Maricel made breakfast, adobo fried rice with egg on top, strong coffee, smiled at me, asked if I slept well, kissed my cheek. And the doubts faded. I was just being paranoid. These were real emergencies, real needs. This was what family did, supported each other. Except the red flags kept multiplying. Marriage avoidance was getting obvious. 2 years together now, still living like boyfriend and girlfriend, but whenever I brought up making it official, she'd deflect. Let's wait until my siblings finish school. Papa needs to be healthier first. We don't need paper to prove we love each other. That last one especially bothered me. In Ireland, when you're together that long, supporting someone's entire family, you get married. That's how it works. But here, nothing. Just indefinite limbo. The scheduled visits continued. Could never drop by Bulacan unannounced. Always needed 24 to 48 hours notice. She said it was respect, giving them time to prepare, to clean, to cook proper food for me. But one time I suggested surprising them with gifts, showing up spontaneous, and I saw genuine panic flash across her face before she recovered, laughing it off. No, no, they would be so embarrassed, it's not our way. That moment stuck with me. Real fear in her eyes. Phone secrecy had intensified. Lock screen always on. Angled away constantly when texting. Took calls in the bathroom with the door closed. The family group chat explanation was wearing thin. Once I saw a message notification pop up before she grabbed the phone. Kuya Denden with a heart emoji. My stomach dropped. I asked her about it casually. She explained that's her cousin's boyfriend, the one who'd hit her way back at the start. Used to have him saved as Kuya Denden warning sign emoji, as a warning to the family. But recently changed it to a heart emoji as a joke, since he'd apologized and been on good behavior. Made sense, sort of. But the explanation felt rehearsed. Financial inconsistencies piled up. The motorbike being too nice. Ramon suddenly wearing branded Nike sneakers, 8,000 pesos worth easy. Maria's laptop turned out to be a MacBook Pro, not the basic Windows laptop nursing students actually need. The house had a new flat-screen TV I definitely hadn't bought. When I asked about these things, always explanations. Birthday gifts from other relatives. Second-hand deals on Facebook Marketplace, Ramon's delivery income being better than expected. But the biggest warning sign was internal. I realized I was afraid to question anything too hard. Afraid to push, to challenge, to demand receipts or proof. Because if I did, if I really investigated, the whole thing might collapse. And I'd invested too much. $60,000. 2 years of my life. Emotional energy building a family, a relationship, a future. I needed it to be real. That fear was suffocating. I started drinking more San Miguel. 4 beers a night instead of 2. Lying awake while Maricel slept beside me, wondering if I was being played, if I was the thick Patty everyone warned about. Then morning would come, she'd make breakfast, smile, kiss me, and I'd tell myself I was paranoid. Just cultural differences. Just my Western mindset not understanding Filipino family obligations. But I knew. Deep down, I knew something was wrong. The marriage avoidance, the phone secrecy, the financial inconsistencies, the scheduled visits. None of it added up. But acknowledging it meant admitting I'd wasted $60,000 and 2 years on a lie. Meant admitting I was alone again. Meant going back to that empty existence I'd fled Dublin to escape. So I didn't acknowledge it. I pushed it down. Focused on the good parts. The companionship, the clean condo, the home cooking, the family who called me Tate. Told myself every relationship has problems. Told myself Filipino culture was just different. Told myself I was lucky to have someone who cared. But late at night, drunk on San Miguel, staring at the ceiling, I'd do the math again. 111,000 left of 170,000. If this pace continued, I'd be broke in 3 years. And then what? What happened when the money ran out? Would she still be here? Would the family still call me Tata? Or would I be just another broke expat in Manila, alone in a condo, wondering where it all went wrong? I knew the answer. I just wasn't ready to admit it yet. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon, month 24, 2 years in. My phone died mid-conversation with my bank in Dublin. Fraud alert on my card. Needed to verify some transactions. Asked Maricel if I could borrow hers to ring them back. She hesitated. Just a second, but I noticed, then handed it over with forced casualness, hovering nearby. Too nearby. Made the call. Got put on hold. Staring at her phone's lock screen, waiting. Messenger notification popped up. Message in Tagalog from someone called Kuya Denden. Couldn't read the text but saw the word Kano and a laughing emoji. My stomach tightened. Kano. Foreigner. Me. Call ended. Returned the phone. She grabbed it quickly, too quickly, checked something, put it face down. Then went back to cooking dinner like nothing happened. But something had happened. That notification. That word. That laugh emoji. It ate at me like acid. That night after dinner she showered. Her phone sat on the bedside table. I stared at it. Knew I shouldn't. This was invasion of privacy. Proof of distrust. But I couldn't stop myself. Had to know. Picked it up. Tried the pattern lock. I'd watched her unlock it hundreds of times over 2 years. Thought I had it. Drew the pattern. Failed. Heart pounding. Tried again. Success. Hands shaking. Opened Messenger. Scrolled past individual chats. Family members, friends, me. Our chat history looked loving enough. Good morning, baby. Miss you. Love you. Then I saw it. Group chat named Team Kano with a money bag emoji. Money bag emoji. Members, Maricel, Ramon, Maria, Grace. 3 cousins I'd never met, including someone called Denden. Last message 20 minutes ago while I was in the living room and she was supposedly texting her mother. Started scrolling up. Months of messages, mix of Tagalog and English. I ran some through Google Translate on my own phone, hands shaking so bad I could barely type. The messages destroyed everything. Ramon, 3 months ago, Irish guy, sent 120,000 for Papa Hospital, haha, told you he'd panic if we said emergency. Maria, 4 months ago, how much you think for school fees? Go higher, he always says yes. Cousin Jenny 2 months ago, when this Kano gonna ask about marriage, lol, keep dodging it, sis. Screenshots of my Gcash transfers, with laughing emoji reactions, fire emojis, money bag emojis. A photo I'd sent Maricel, me smiling at their house in Bulacan, holding little Grace, captioned with money bag and cash emojis. Comments underneath, "Look at him so happy. Ha 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 ha, our ATM machine. Easy money." Kept scrolling. Got worse. Photos of Maricel with another man. Young guy, mid-20s, fit, tattooed, arms around each other, kissing, in bed together. Timestamps from weeks ago. While I was out doing electrical jobs in BGC, thinking she was home cleaning the condo, messages between her and Dendon. "Miss you, baby. Next week when the Kano has his job in BGC, we have 3 hours. I love you. Love you too, babe." Dendon wasn't her cousin's boyfriend. He was her boyfriend, had been for 3 years. Since before she ever met me. The split lip from the family gathering way back at the start? That was Dendon after a fight. They'd gotten back together days later. Everything was performance. Every moment, every kiss, every time she said she loved me. More scrolling, more messages revealing the operation. Father Juan does have diabetes. That part was real. But the 120,000 peso hospitalization actually cost 60,000. They pocketed the difference. The motorbike for Ramon was 45,000 like I gave them, but the basic model. They wanted the nice one, so they used their own money to upgrade it. My money covered the necessity. Their money bought the luxury. Maria's nursing school tuition was 50,000 per semester, not 80. The extra 30,000 went to family fund. Typhoon damage was real, but they inflated repair costs, did some work themselves, kept the difference. They'd been systematically bleeding me while mocking me. The Irish guy bought everything again. Easy money, Lowell. How long you think before he gets suspicious? Never, ha-ha. He's too nice, too stupid more like. I sat there on the bed holding her phone. Felt like I'd been electrocuted. Same shock as the Talit job site, but worse. That stopped my heart for seconds. This stopped it differently. Heard the shower turn off. Had maybe 2 minutes. Screenshot key messages to my email. Evidence of what, I wasn't sure. Put the phone back exactly where it was. Hands still shaking. She came out in her towel, hair dripping, saw my face. "What's wrong?" Couldn't speak. She noticed her phone, picked it up, checked it, recently unlocked. Her face went white. "Niall, I can explain." Held up my hand. "Don't. Just don't." We sat in silence. 10 minutes maybe. Finally, she started crying. Tried to explain. Yes, Dendon is her boyfriend. But she does care about me. It started as just work, but feelings grew complicated. Her family pressured her. Filipino culture requires supporting family, and I'm a foreigner with money, so it's expected. Utang na loob, debt of gratitude, she owes her family. She's trapped between 2 lives. Maybe some of that's even true. Maybe she did catch feelings somewhere in the performance. Doesn't matter now. The hurt wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. I told my mates back home about my lovely girlfriend, sent photos, bragged about my new life, my new family. Now I was the thick Patty who got played. The lonely old fool who confused financial dependency with love. The Egypt who thought a 28-year-old woman actually wanted his 57-year-old body for anything other than his bank account. Told her to pack her things. Leave in the morning. She cried harder. Begged. Said she could explain more, make it right. It wasn't all fake. She did love me in her way. In her way. That phrase. In her way meant as a source of income. As a provider. As an ATM with feelings attached. I gave her 20,000 pesos cash. About $360. Final payment. Wrote a note, "For everything, don't contact me again." She took it. Defeated, knowing there was nothing left to say, she packed in silence. The clothes I'd bought her went into her bag. The phone I'd given her charged on the bedside table. She left it there at first. Then I told her to take it. What was I going to do with it? She took it, walked out, didn't look back. I sat in the empty condo, aircon humming, traffic noise from below, the sheets still warm where she'd been sleeping. 2 years. $62,000, roughly. That's what I'd paid for the performance of companionship, for the illusion of family, for feeling like I mattered to someone. Calculated it all. Started with 170,000, down to 108,000. More than a third of my nest egg gone. Not ruined financially. My SRRV pension would cover basics. But that money represented security, represented years of work, represented the safety net that was supposed to last me through old age. All gone to people who laughed about me in group chats, who called me their ATM machine, who mocked how easy I was to manipulate. And the worst part, 0.1500 loved them. Actually loved them. Felt like part of a family for the first time in my life. Father Juan calling me anak, the kids calling me tatay. Maricel saying she loved me every night. I'd believed all of it. Needed all of it to be real so badly that I'd ignored every warning sign screaming at me that it wasn't. That's how they get you. Not with obvious scams, but by making you need it so much that you can't afford to question it. Compacting our conversation so we can keep chatting,